I have a lot to share today, so thank you for joining. I have a new system going on here, so I apologize for the background noise real quick, but we got it taken care of. In short, this is PAFOW Live. If you haven't been here before, I'm going to go through the news of the week. I'm going to answer a question, then I'm going to go into a topic during the first 30 minutes. And then the last hour, I'm going to have two guests, and they're going to be outstanding. If you have heard them before, you're going to understand why. Sharon Yaroslavsky from Cassiopeia and Thomas Igame, founder of Tribe, now at ServiceNow, are going to go into a variety of topics from remote work to Black Lives Matter to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how to actually make something happen and make something sustainable happen, given what's happening in the world today with COVID and the social unrest that's happening here in the United States. So there's much to get into, so I'm going to jump right into it. But before I get into the content, I want to share that we have an event coming up next month, PAFOW Global Online. And it's going to be October 5th and 6th. You can go to pafow.net now and register. We're going to have some exciting news in the coming days about who is going to be speaking there, the format of the event, the ability to network and connect and consume content in ways that's happening now in chunks that are actually consumable and actionable. So we're trying some new things. So I hope you'll join that, at least in part. I have, frankly, an ethical challenge because there is no way that I, in good conscience, can ask somebody to share the screen for 2 days. And so what we're going to do is simulcast this, where you'll be able to listen to it as well. You'll be able to watch it on YouTube. You'll be able to watch it on the platform, and you'll be able to listen to it on SoundCloud and other mediums. So we're trying to meet you all where you are, given this remote work, given this reality that's before us. So look out for that. Again, go to pafow.net to learn more. And very exciting news going to be coming up early next week on that front. So if you're just joining us for the first time, this is effectively the format. Talk about some news, go through the question, and go through the topic. And this is what we're going to be addressing today. The state of privacy and ethics, particularly in the world of people, data, and analytics. We're going to talk about a people strategy framework, and particularly agility, then finally governance, privacy, and ethics. So let's just go right into it. Privacy is something that in the people analytics world has been obviously pervasive. It's always been out there. However, it's been, how shall I say, it has not been addressed as systematically and, how should I say, it has a lot of room to improve. I'm trying to use tactful language, obviously, but here is the case that's happening in the external marketplace. There's legislation that's finally starting to catch up to the realities that we have in doing our work with wrangling people data, doing the analytics, pushing it out to a certain audience. Everything I just shared there presents both opportunity for insight and positive action, but also risk. And that risk has anchored some of the work that we have done historically, but it's also been the case where, gosh, when we push the envelope, we can really, really do some cool things. But here is the reality, and this is the nature of the privacy in this Wired article that came out last month, is that there's legislation on the table. And the biggest act, Data Transparency and Privacy Act, is the Data Accountability and Transparency Act, is that are we going to be using facial recognition? When we press, I accept the terms of use, when I accept that the privacy statement, who reads those, and who reads those time and time again, particularly when you're in an organization, oftentimes you're doing the same thing. So what is happening to our data? Do we have control? Now, younger generations, there's much research that comes out say, well, I don't really care, because they haven't seen the downside risks, downside repercussions of this reality that data can be misused. Those of us who have been around for a while have actually seen data misused and actually hurt groups of people. And with that in mind, we need to make sure that we have policies, procedures, laws in place that enable data to remain private and for analytics projects to have certain standards that are kept. So one of the things that has been guiding much of the work in our space, of course, has been by Josh Bersin. Now, I'm not going to put this up as the framework. I just actually want to talk about it a little bit because this notion of safety and trust is big, as is this notion of fairness, because the perception of all these is as important as the underlying reality. And I know that is cliche, however, it's very true. And I think immediately of what Ernest Ning and his team there at Salesforce do around trust. I think about Microsoft's Trust Center. Yeah, trust is the guiding construct on how people data and analytics are guided. In other words, are we going to collect that data? Are we going to do that analytics project? A very simple example is there are organizations who have the opportunity to predict turnover, particularly in this remote work environment. Who's at risk? Who, particularly with our high value talent, how are we going to retain them? So should we be doing some type of risk analysis, retention analysis, whatever you want to call it, that's going to predict whether someone's propensity to leave or get a persona or at least some metadata that indicates that, okay, the profile of this type of person is a high risk. Now we're going to take action. From an analytical perspective, that's really cool. It's simple, it's doable, assuming the data is available, of course. So let's go do it. So that has been around for 20 plus years. And there now are organizations, and over the past few years, is that we're actually not going to do that, because it actually erodes trust. If we got wind that that type of project was going on, it's going to affect behavior potentially. Well, I don't want to be seen as a flight risk, or maybe I do want to be seen as a flight risk, so I get a spot bonus or something like that. This is just one example around this notion of trust. And given that we're in this remote work environment, we're creating all kinds of digital exhaust. And that's what we're going to talk to Sharon about later. It's like, what do we do with this data? It can be used for a lot of good. However, there is risk there. So how do we manage that risk? And in fact, turn it around and make it a value enhancer? Because ultimately, what is going to elevate trust? It's going to be the belief, as evidenced by story after story after story, where individuals or groups actually benefit from the collection and analysis of this data. The bias is something that obviously we got to acknowledge. Obviously, we have to minimize. Is bias ever going to go away? That's debatable. I would say it is not. The goal is to minimize it and be aware of it and acknowledge it and adjust processes accordingly. If bias is identified and it's not addressed, that is really bad. That's going to compromise the trust and people's feeling of safety, not only the safety of their data, but the safety, how they feel about how they're perceived and honored as a unique human being. The privacy is very basic, but given that we're not only taking internal data that we have been analyzing historically, but we're collecting external data. Where are those sources? Are they good sources? Is that data appropriate to collect? Is it appropriate to answer the questions leaders want or need to know? Ultimately, if we can reduce bias and have the perception and reality of fairness, then we're going to have the security in place. Ultimately, we are going to have good people impact. So at the end of the day, I like this mental model. I think it is a great start. There's underpinnings. I'm going to talk about what we had done at Insight 222 with the ethics charter in our next segment next week. So with that, there's more to share and explore. I'm going to put some links in the edited segment later on to point you to different resources. So hopefully you found this helpful, but there's certainly more to share on this topic. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to talk about agility and a few other constructs, which I think you'll like, around the biggest problems in our space right now.